Hello, hello, good morning. Welcome to another ES Futures trading. Boy, this market is just going back and forth, back and forth. There was yesterday we have a short, I believe a short, not a short squeeze, but a rally that was fueled by shorts that were trapped from this day, right? Multiple times the market being sold from this level, and the overnight spike just, took
com/TV.
Every time the
put all
commercial.
these shorts. And
Hi, Jessica Sibley, CEO of Time Magazine, speaking right now at the New York Stock Exchange. President-elect Trump named Time's Person of the Year. He's going to be ringing the opening bell at the NYSE this morning.
I think Jerry Sprecher.
Now, Jerry, now see, Lynn
Chairman of the New York
Martin,
Stock
yeah,
Exchange.
Lynn Martin already spoke, I think, and I think President-elect Trump is going to have a chance to make some comments as well. He'll be ringing the opening bell. I tried to get him to stop by here, both bastions of capitalism, for a drive-by. He had to come down from Trump Tower, but he did not agree to do that. But it's fine. You can go do the New York Stock Exchange. You can do the NASDAQ some other time. It should be interesting, and I'm sure he's going to get a pretty raucous reception at the Bastion.
He's there, by the way, on the same day that President Trump, or incoming President Trump, has been named as the Person of the Year for Time Magazine, which is why you see the portrait behind them, which is why the
Well, that's what this all is about.
Magazine was
It's,
there.
it's all in celebration of this Time Magazine Person of the Year award or
job list,
honor of sorts.
weekly jobs.
I was hoping we'd get to take some of the speech, but it could have come as early as 8:45. But as things usually work out, it will be running into the 9 o'clock hour in Squawk on the Street. I think we'll be taking the speech in full. If I got that right, I think that's probably true. And then the bell ringing ceremony is every day at 9:30. We've got about a minute left in our show, and we'll take a final check of the markets this morning after that. I mean, Rick went from warm numbers yesterday, went back to the H word, hot. Some of the PPI data was hotter than expected. But
Welcome to the
say,
webinar.
well,
Please
not to
stand
worry.
by.
It's,
The
food and
webinar will
energy.
begin
You take
shortly.
that out and it's fine,
Please
'cause
remain on the line.
No one eats or travels or goes anyway. I think we did see yields move up, but not too badly on the 10-year. What I saw, 428 at one point, 428.
Actually, we started the show at 4:30.
At 4:30, so it didn't even move up. It moved up in
yeah.
recent sessions.
Yeah.
We'll take a quick look at oil, and then we'll look at crypto, and then we're going to hand it off to Squawk on the Street. You can see just over $70. Keep that. Remember where it was, because we heard about it a lot from where it was 4 years ago. Make sure you join us tomorrow, please. It's a Friday. Again, Squawk on the Street is next.
The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line.
David Faber at Post 9. On this historic day at the New York Stock Exchange, in 30 minutes, President-elect Donald Trump will ring the opening bell. It was Ronald Reagan who became the first sitting president to ring the bell nearly 40 years ago.
With tax reform and budget control, our economy will be free to expand to its full potential, driving the bears back into permanent hibernation. That's our economic program for the next 4 years. We're going to turn the bull loose.
And now it's
George W. Bush walked the floor back in
The webinar
January
will begin
of 2007
shortly.
as
Please
the head of
remain
the
on the
great
line.
financial crisis. And both Truman and Bill Clinton made stops here, both out of office at the time. Now Trump becomes the first president-elect to make his way to the trading floor, Jim, as he gets named to Time's Person of the Year.
Yeah, look, I think that this is very important because, first of all, he's not president yet. But second, this is a person more than any of the people who were just mentioned who really kind of links his performance ratings to the stock market, particularly the Dow, the atomistic Dow. And David, I think that by coming here at a moment when the Nasdaq is
The
incredibly
broadcast
high,
is now starting.
you got a high
All
water to be able to
attendees are in
continue. I know
listen-only
this sounds
mode.
crazy, but President Biden.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's public webinar. It's been a while. Did you miss us?
Very strong couple of years,
I think
and we
missed
also
you guys
know
a
that
bit.
President-elect Trump
Hope you
does
all
look
had a
to the
wonderful
market more
Thanksgiving,
perhaps than
also
certainly
for
a
those of
President
you
Biden,
in
or
the
maybe
US.
any president, in
Good
terms
morning,
of at least
Jim.
a
Good morning.
way to
Good
judge
morning.
his own progress. I can
It's
remember
not
that
as good
from
as
his
it sounds
first
like.
term.
I've
We would occasionally even see
figured out it's
tweets
gotten
at
a
the
little
time that
cold
were
out
very
here.
similar to what we might be
Turned the
discussing
heat on,
on
but
air
it's
at that
not
very
working.
moment.
So
And
I'm a
so
little
he does
chilly
pay
this
close
morning.
attention.
Okay.
Perhaps fitting for him to be here in
What
that
I've
way. But to
got
your
up
point, Jim,
is the
20,000
SPY.
NASDAQ. I mean, you're going to, the
Sure.
question, of course, we keep
And one of the reasons
entertaining
that I
with
like
all the
the
various
SPY
strategists and other
is it
people
is
who have
such
various
an
titles
efficient
is,
market.
what are we going to see
The
this coming
volume
year?
is
Can we
so
continue that momentum 3 years in a row?
Well, I
But the
think
first thing you
what we
see
saw from
by
President
looking
Reagan
at the graph
in that great
is
quote,
notice.
it was an amazing
Well, I think
time
this
when
is
he
like
came
10
here,
days.
just
1,
let
2,
the-
3,
let
4,
the
5,
Bears
6, 7,
be.
8, 9. For
Thank you.
10
This
days,
is an
President-elect,
honor,
it almost
tremendous honor. I've got
perfectly
some of our
fits a line.
compatriots along with us. They're going to do
When
a
you see
beautiful job for
something
you
like
for the
that,
next 4 years.
That is nothing more
It's really been
than
something very special.
weak
And I have to
hands,
say,
short-term
Time Magazine
traders.
getting this
That's
honor for the second
that's how
time.
they trade, looking for
I
very
think I like it better
mechanical
this time, actually.
places to enter and exit
But
the market.
we did a good job. We had a great first term, despite a lot of
So
turmoil.
this tells me that this
caused
tells me that this
unnecessarily.
particular rally is
But
late
the
in the
media's tamed
rally.
down a little bit.
It
They're
tells
liking
me
us much
that the
better now, I
danger
think.
is very
They
long,
don't
very
have to
great to
just
the
take
long
them
side.
on
Remember,
again, and we don't want to do
if you looked at our week
But I
ahead
do want to thank Time
piece
Magazine.
over the
I've been
weekend,
on the cover many
that was
times. I don't
before
know
it
if there's a
broke this
record,
trend
but
line.
I can only
This is
probably
what
talk
I used
well about
over the weekend.
25% of the covers.
And
25% are
so
great.
the
The others
danger
I
of
just
being
sort of
long
hide.
is very, very
But
high.
it's been an honor.
So you
and
see
every
what
time
happens.
It's an
We
honor, I will
come
tell
into the
you. And
week
thank you very much
and we
for
get the downside.
doing it. And,
We get a downside
thank the whole
breakout.
group at Time. Really very
what
professional
happens-
people. Thank you very much.
When the market goes like this and
And-
perfectly fits this line, there's going to be stops after any of it. And so you see when you
And
when
to
you
Jeff
hit
and
this,
all of the
you're
people
going to get a tremendous
from the
number
New
of
York Stock
stocks. So what's
Exchange. He knows
happened
how
in there?
much I like it
The
because
market has gotten
many
very
years
long.
ago I bought a building
very
across
long
the street. I wasn't
in
going to buy it. Then
weekend.
I said, it's right next to the New
Then
York Stock
you get a
Exchange. I'm going to
liquidating
buy
break.
it. We've had great success.
when the
40 Wall Street,
liquidating
we've
break
had
comes,
tremendous success with
It
it.
starts to
But
trigger all these
you've really had
stops.
success
And then
with the New York
short-term
Stock
traders
Exchange. It's an incredible
jump
group
on
of
the
people. And
short
Jeff,
side.
you have done an incredible job. You
Then,
and
as
your
you saw
group, and what a beautiful
yesterday,
speech you made.
It
Thank you
went
very
from
much.
one
That was
extreme
some
to the other. It
introduction
went from,
of
and let me
all
go
of us.
to yesterday's profile.
But we've gone up since the election. I was just told by Scott. Everybody said, "Yeah."
So the market,
Scott.
it just got
Scott Bessent, he has to
ridiculously
be the
short.
one
Everybody
chosen
jumped
for
on it because
Treasury.
it's all
Where is Scott?
weak
Let's see,
hands
he's
traders.
around here
The
someplace.
larger
He's
money
around here.
has packed it in for the
He
year.
told me we
They've
picked
either
up
had a good year or
$3
a bad
trillion
year.
since the
So
election
then
day.
we got inventory was
And I
too
said, well,
long.
that's
Then
good, but
inventory gets
what
too
about
short.
before the election day? He said,
Then
we picked up
short-term
some money
traders
there
go
because they thought
crazy.
you were going to win. I
and
said, I
everybody,
like this guy. He's going to
everybody
be my
jumps on
treasurer.
board again. They follow the market and take the market all the way back up, almost to the trend line. And
But
then
it's
what have you
true.
had
It's,
overnight?
I think we're going to have a tremendous
You've had this
run.
liquidation
We've straightened out
again,
some problems, some,
late
big
yesterday
problems in the
afternoon
world.
and
It's,
overnight.
when we left, we
So the
didn't have any of these
danger-
problems.
the
We didn't
danger
have Russia
in
with
this market
Ukraine. We didn't have Israel October 7th.
is it is almost
we didn't have the
100%
Afghanistan disaster. We didn't
short-term
have
trading.
inflation. We had no inflation.
And the nature of short-term
And we had a
traders
very strong
is,
economy. And we're
and
going
I've
to do
said
that
this
again.
so many
but
times,
I
it's
think we're
hard
going
to
to
even
even up
say
it
it,
because now we have
but
experience
it's the
that we
herd
didn't
instinct.
have. Now I know everybody.
Everybody
when I
jumps
first
on
came
board.
in,
And see, yesterday, all of
came
a
down,
sudden,
Melania and I, our
you know,
great first
the
ladies,
number
very
wasn't any
popular, by
great
the way.
number,
She rang
but
in.
that was enough to start the
She
short
rang in the
covering.
bell.
And then it feeds
She
on
rang in the
itself.
bell.
And they go from too short,
But we came down and
feeds
we're
on
driving down
itself to too
Pennsylvania
long,
Avenue, and it
and
was
then
so
you take this
beautiful. I
all
said,
back
I've never
overnight.
done this
So
before. I didn't know anybody.
the danger in this
I
time
got
of
to the
year,
Oval Office, and
remember,
I'm
the
picking all
majority
these
of
big positions,
the
and I
bigger
didn't really
money,
know the people in
they
Washington.
packed
but
it
boy,
in
did
for
I
the
get
year.
to learn fast.
They've either had a good
And
year
now we're
or a
dealing
bad
with-
year.
I think we have an
or a bad
incredible
year.
staff behind me, and
They're not
others
going
that
to
aren't
make
here.
a lot of changes
And
this
we're going to do a
late,
fantastic
this late
job.
in
We're
the
going to
year.
create
But
the
you have a lot of
short-term traders out there, and it just gives you an extremely dangerous market.
Anybody investing
$1 billion
or more
I don't have
gets
a lot
a
to
very
offer other than
expedited
that.
approval process because
but
the
so much of
approvals,
short-term
when people come
trading
into the country, it takes
is dependent
in
on
many
inventory
cases 14, 15,
constantly getting
16
too
years to
long
get the
and
approval.
too
We have
short.
Lee is around here. Some
And
places
it's
in charge of the
understanding,
environment, and
it's
that's
understanding
Lee
the
Zeldin,
nature
who
of your
ran
competition.
an
For
incredible
example,
race for governor in New York. Was,
when I showed you
very,
the
very successful guy. Before that, he was a
the
great
bar
congressman,
chart
and
here,
he's a
this was
fantastic
just
lawyer. He's in charge of
mechanical trading for
environmental.
10
and
days.
We'll
Walk
try
the
and push
trend
him
line.
as much as
Very,
possible
very
to get those
mechanical
permits
trading.
very quickly. Like
This is not the the
nuclear
activity
power
of
plant,
stronger
I would
minds.
say
This
a week
is
would be enough time.
this
What do you think?
exactness.
Is that okay?
It's the activity of very
We're
short-term
gonna get
traders
fast
because they can
approvals, and it's
calculate
great that
this
we have
line.
Lee and all of the
Then you
people
get the
behind. They're all
liquidation.
stars in their own way.
You notice
But
yesterday,
it is an
you know,
honor.
it takes it almost
and,
back up to
this
the
is a
line,
double
and then they
because
sell
usually
it
they
off
don't
again.
coordinate
I mean,
the
I don't
man
have
of the year or
anything
the
really
person of the year with
intelligent to
the
offer
ringing of the bell.
other than how dangerous
And brilliantly, you picked them both at
you know,
the same
these
time, and
markets
you were all
can
friends,
be,
and you said, let's do it.
in here.
And you
We're
only,
gonna-
it takes
today
one
we're
trip.
gonna,
It doesn't
you know,
take two
open,
trips. That's
and
okay.
we're,
We like to say.
you know, we've
we
got
like
about
to-
20 minutes.
We like to
and
be
we're
able to do
down
it
near
properly, but this is
yesterday's
a special group. So many
yesterday's
friends
low.
in the audience.
So we're
too,
going to be in
John.
the middle
Great
of,
job you've done at ABC.
you know, in the middle of about
I'm
a
really proud of
3-day
you.
or
You've been
4-day
so nice
range.
to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't actually
Let's take some
acknowledge you at
questions.
all. But you have
Okay,
been. That really is. It's a terrific job you've done. But again, I want to thank you. We're going down to ring the bell now, and I could just say that the economy, I believe, is going to be very strong. We do have to solve some problems. We have wars going
Okay,
on that we
can you
didn't
see my
have. We have
screen?
a lot of things happening that we didn't
Certainly
have that
can.
would have never happened.
Okay, for
It would
those
have
of you
never
that are
happened, but
new
now,
or maybe
they
not
have
as
happened.
familiar with us,
And I want
if
to
you
get them
haven't
solved.
signed
We
up
have to get them
for
solved because
our
ultimately,
emails to get
the power of
announcements,
weaponry today is the biggest
sometimes,
threat
you know,
we
we
have,
offer
in
a
my
free
opinion.
report
It's
or,
not
you
some
know,
of the
class
other things that you read
announcements,
about. It's the power of weaponry.
more book
The weapons are
information,
so
like we've
powerful,
received so
so
many
devastating,
people
and I
writing in
rebuilt our
asking about
military. I
when
got to
Jim's
know
new
every one
book
of
is
them,
going to be
including
available. You can
nuclear
sign
weapons.
up
I hated to do it. Actually, I hated
for our
to do it.
emails here on our
But we
homepage.
did
Go to
some nuclear weapons that are
jimdowntrading.com,
so
and there's this black
devastating,
strip
it
here.
almost
You
makes
can
you very
subscribe here,
sad
but
when you,
make
as you
sure
get them and as
that
they
you
come online,
respond to
it makes you very
the
sad because you know what the
confirmation
purpose
email,
of
because
them is, and
until you
just
do
hope
that
to
step and
God that
confirm that
never
you
have
want
to
to
use them.
join our email
Because if you
list,
do,
you will not be
the
subscribed.
world
And
will
there's
never be
plenty
the
of folks
same.
who do this
So we
step
have to
and
be
then
very,
they
very
don't do the
smart.
confirmation.
We have to be very sharp. We have to be.
Jim's
we
new
have to
book
be
is
very special
available for
to do a
pre-order. You
job.
can go to our
And
website,
I think we'll get it
resources, and go
done.
to the
And I
books
think we're
link
going
and
to get a
see
lot of
all
people
of
in the
our
room. We've seen it.
suggested
We were in
books
France
here
where
for reading that we feel are very
President Macron
relevant
did a
to trading
fantastic job with the
and to
cathedral.
you know, things like
Absolutely fantastic
mindsets
job
and
of Notre
working on
Dame.
your self-understanding, which is also a
It was
large
beautiful.
part
The opening was the
of
opening. And
the journey.
I just got
But
back,
you can
and it
see
was
here
something really
that
beautiful. And a lot
the
of
book
world
is
leaders.
available
There
for
were about 80
pre-order
world
here.
leaders,
It
different
is
countries,
to
and
be
they were all
deliverable
coming together. They
by
all wanted to
February
meet us and
11th.
meet me as representative of the U.S.
Is the information that the
And there was a
publisher
lot of
has
goodwill,
given
but
us
we're
thus
going to
far.
get
So
some
you can
really
find the book
tremendous
here
goodwill.
on
I
our
was even thinking
website.
about inviting
Really
certain
exciting.
people to the
Hope you guys all
inauguration,
check it
and
out.
some people said, "Wow, that's a little
I'm
risky,
getting a
isn't
lot
it?"
of questions
And I
about
said,
other
maybe it is.
countries.
We'll see what happens.
When will it be
But we like
available
to
in
take
other
little chances,
countries?
but
You know,
that's not a
that's up
bad chance.
to
Here's a
the
gentleman that's going to
publisher.
do a great
So
job at HUD.
unfortunately, I
Good luck,
don't
my
have
friend,
an,
right? He's good.
a solid answer for
he's
you
gonna be a
on
he's
that
been
for
my
those
friend
of
for
you
a long
outside
time.
of the U.S.
It's
I
nice to
apologize
see.
about that.
I haven't
I
seen
don't know
him
how
his
does it work. I
hand
mean, you order it on Amazon. I don't know how it works when you order on Amazon
Really, Terry, you're going to be
from other
great.
Oh, well-
countries.
And Ben Carson
Well,
is
within the
your
U.S.,
biggest fan in the world.
you know,
that Ben
obviously
has been
it'll
with us
be
for a long time.
deliverable
He's done a fantastic job. Thank
by
you.
February 11th.
So,
For other
ladies and
countries,
gentlemen,
it's about,
go
you know,
on. We're
when
going to
they have
put
that,
it straight.
you know, available,
We're gonna
or
give tremendous
the
incentive like
publisher
no other
makes it
country has. We're
available
cutting your
for
taxes. We're
publishing
gonna
in
cut them
those
very
other countries.
substantially.
So
We got them down to
that's out of our
21% from
hands.
probably
So
42 or 44%, depending on
if you got
where
any
you are.
friends
We got them
coming
down
to the
21.
U.S.
Everyone
that
said that
can
was a miracle.
order it, get
Now
you a
we're
copy,
getting
and
them
bring
down
it
to
back to you, that's
15,
another way
but
to think
only
of it
if you
too.
make your product
Well,
here.
I'm not
Otherwise,
sure
you pay
that's I'm not
21,
sure
which
that's
is
the right
not bad.
answer.
It's
I
in
mean,
the-
I don't know
in the
how
middle of the
Amazon.
pack, but 15 brings you down
You
to
can
a
order
month
from
below.
any place in the world from Amazon, can't you?
You can, but
And for
not all
those that are running
items
the big
are going
companies,
to be
those great, big, beautiful
available.
companies, nobody's going to be
You
leaving
know,
us.
it's
You're going to be
often
coming back.
very
You're going to be bringing
regional.
it back to
So,
the United States.
I don't know how they
We're
did it.
incentivizing everybody
yeah,
to come
another
back
person here said
to the
Amazon in
United
other
States. We
countries
want you
catches
back
up
here.
almost
Car
immediately. So maybe it
manufacturers,
won't be too much of
everybody.
an extra
And we
wait
have one product product that nobody
for
has
other
really to the
for other
extent that we do.
countries.
It's called oil
So,
and gas. There's no
yeah,
country
they
in the
do.
world that
Amazon
has
does
more. We're
deliver
number one.
worldwide, but I think
brought it
it'll
to number one during
depend
my
on, like,
first term
say,
in terms of production.
in
We're gonna
Europe
be
when
number
when will the
plus
book be
with the
available
numbers
there. I
that,
mean, I'm sure if you're in
nobody
Europe
will really
and you
see
have
before. And
Amazon
when that
and
happens,
if it's
prices
not
are going to start
available right
coming
in your
down
country,
because
if
people can't afford
Amazon's
their
not in your
groceries,
country, then
and they're
you
going to
can
be affording their
still
groceries very
order
soon.
it, you know, like
I tell the
I know in
story about a
Portugal, for
woman who,
example, they
an
order
old
from
woman, an
Amazon
old woman,
Spain,
no
for
money,
example.
went to a
So,
grocery store, had 3 apples.
oh, no, another
She
person
put 'em
confirmed
down
I
on the
ordered it
counter, and she
in
looked, and she
Poland,
saw
no
the
problem.
price, and she
Thank
said,
you
"Would
for letting us
excuse
know
me?"
that.
And she
It's
walked
great
one of
for
the
other
apples
folks
back
who
to the
are in that region
refrigerator
or in
and
that
came
country
back to pay for the 2
who may
apples.
be interested and are
And she left
wondering.
with 2 apples. And The woman at the counter said that was so sad. And
So,
when I heard about the story,
Jim,
I said that
back
should
to
never
you.
happen in America, and it's not
You
going
want
to
me to
happen
give you
in
back the
America.
screen?
We're going to do it
Sure,
right,
just questions.
and we're going to
Got
take
questions
care of
for
our
you.
people, and we're going to
Okay.
do things that nobody ever thought even were possible. But we're going to have an
Somebody's
economy
asking, when
the
will
likes
we
of which
know
nobody's
that
ever
it's
seen
time
before,
to get
and
out of
everybody's coming
long-term
back to America. I
positions?
saw that the other day at the cathedral.
Let me give you the
They're
screen
all
back,
saying,
Jim,
we want to
so
come
that
back, we want to come back. And with a
Pointing
couple of
finger, and
changes
you'll see that.
done by Howard
I've
and
given you the
Scott
screen
and
back.
some of the great people up here with me, we're going to bring them all back. They're all coming
When I
back.
hear
So
a
thank you
question
very
like
much. This
that,
is a great honor, and ringing the bell
you
will
know,
be fantastic. And
if you have to
go
ask
out
that
and get
question,
them. We're with
I'm
you all
not
the
sure
way.
you
Thank
should
you
be
very
in
much.
anything.
Thank you.
What is long-term position? Everybody's got a different,
That is the president-elect,
different
surrounded by,
definition
as you saw,
of what is
RFK
long-term
Jr.,
position.
Scott Bessent, the incoming First Lady.
So, I
Vice
mean, I can't
President-elect
answer that
Vance.
question
He's
because
gonna
there
make
is
his
no
way down,
definition
to the
to that-
podium where
to
we
that
are.
question.
Ring the opening bell here, Jim. I think
If
you said the
you're,
word
you know,
incentive 3 times.
Yes, I mean,
intermediate,
look,
when
I
you
think
look at
that
this, when I showed you the
there's still carrot and stick here, but obviously the carrot
chart up
get
here
a lot more,
earlier,
robust. And I think there
when
are
you look
a
at
lot
this
of companies
market, I
that
mean,
listen to that and say,
this
you know, we ought to
tells
do
you that the
something. Maybe
risk,
we get breaks from this president.
when the
By way,
market's
David,
this
not connected with
mechanical,
the
the risk of
environment, it's
being
just
long is huge.
Well, the idea of
Now,
incenting in terms of permitting,
understand
to invest.
But can you really do that? I mean,
of
isn't
that-
there
of
a
that
level of obstacle to all that?
I would
The
assume there are
majority
still at the state level and any number
of
of other things
people that
might
manage
make
their
it more
own
difficult. But
money
there's certainly, I think,
on
an
a
embrace in the
long-term
business
basis
community of the idea of some deregulation,
underperform
and I think that's
the
been reflected to
professional
a
money
certain extent in
managers
certain stock
by
prices
about
as well since the
40%.
election. But that's certainly part of why I
The
think a lot of the
professional money
investment
managers
business community is supportive.
basically
it's the idea
stayed
of deregulation,
fully invested
antitrust.
most
We've
of the
talked about
time.
so many times. He didn't discuss it
I mean,
just now,
big
but he did
cash
come back to a
positions
lot of
may
the
only
themes
be
that he was hitting
3 or 4%
consistently during the campaign
for a
itself.
big long-term money manager.
Oil and gas, I continue to
What
sort
happens
of
when
question,
people
Jim. I'm
get
not quite
in and out
sure
of the market
how,
on their own
how
for
that's going to
long-term
work, given
positions,
we know
whatever
the
that
incentive
means
is to
to
keep
everyone.
prices at least to a
The
level where
problem
you
is
can make real money,
they don't
and these
get back
companies,
in.
especially the biggest, want a
they
return,
usually,
and their shareholders want a return of
because the
capital.
news is
Direct
bad when the
pricing,
markets are
during the
making
previous
lows. The news is
previous
pretty bad.
administration,
And that's
pricing
when you
went
come
down,
in to enter
and
the
then
market,
Biden
and
came
most
in.
people
Now,
can't
there are
bring
legendary
themselves
stories
to
about
do
Biden
that.
completely shafting
And that's why the
everybody,
long-term money
gas
managers that stayed
I was just
fairly
saying,
well
listen,
fully
we're not
invested,
taking your call.
people
We're not
that
interested.
typical answer, people
Those
say,
people
well,
have gone
why
up
should I
1-8.
pay them
Actually, there are a
a
lot
fee?
of people who
They're
were
not
quite
beating the
silent
market.
during,
Well, and
President-elect
that's
Trump's
right. I
run,
mean,
who now are very much on
they
board.
don't greatly
Very
outdo
interested.
the market.
I guess
However,
we
they
win.
do greatly
A fellow named
outperform
Zuckerberg, maybe?
the
Is that
individuals,
bandwagon?
because the
Well, I don't
individuals
know.
are
I
in
don't
and
know
out of the
politics,
market.
but I'm just
They
saying
get
that
out of the
suddenly
market, and
every
they don't
business
get
person
back
is
in
saying it's a
until the
brand new
market's
dawn.
way up.
And
Meta
look at
today,
that.
40%
Meta today did say they donated $1 million to the inaugural fund. He actually breaks a lot of news
participation
in the
there. It's
Time
just,
interview, Jim. He says they're going to
the
look at
long-term
ending
nature
childhood
of things.
vaccinations.
I mean, I
depending
tell
on
the story.
what
I was
RFK wants to do.
part of
He's
the
asked about
original
war with Iran. He says, quote, anything can happen.
going public for McDonald's.
Says that he's not averse to
you know,
using the
after I was 7
military
times
to
on my
round
money,
up
I got out.
militants in this
And of course,
Well, I continue to believe that the
see
news
how many
flow
millions of dollars
is,
that's cost me over the
let's say, erratic
over the years.
when
But
it
it was
comes to
that time
business,
I was very young,
and yet the embrace
very young, and really
remains
didn't
as
appreciate
the president
what
detailed
long-term
when he talked about the run that the average have had
What other
between
questions?
when he was elected and now. But
Okay,
David,
is there
all
a
the things that Paul
particular
just
day
mentioned are
or
things that make
date
it so
that big money
you
typically
understand there's a level
stops
of
trading
uncertainty that
at the
people seem
end
to
of
be
the
reluctant
at
to
the
talk
end of the
about. Now,
year?
we're talking about today stagflation and a hot PPI.
No, it's just that,
but there's uncertainty that I've been
I'm
saying
sorry
about
to
the
sound
Middle
this way,
East.
but that's
It just, I
that's
don't know where
another
things are
question.
No, we
that
don't
just
know. I think
shows
most of
a
the
lack
uncertainty,
of-
though, that I hear about in the
really
business community comes back to
any
what we discuss at this
appreciation or
desk often,
understanding
which is tariffs and
of
how extensive they will be and
how
how deep they will be, and to
the market really
Carl's
works.
point just now,
I mean, that's like
the
looking for the magic
deportations, and
when
again,
they're
how
going to
extensive
stop.
they will be and how deep they will be.
Inflation,
There just isn't an answer
Exactly.
to a
And
question
that will
like that.
impact
Even
inflation.
asking even thinking that there's an
And
answer
it
to a
will
question
be
like that
something we discuss a lot. It's
is
impossible
problematic
to know at this point.
and
In other
shows
words,
somewhat
if
of
you
a
If you deport just the criminals, that's one thing.
For how
million
markets
workers, 5 million.
I
If
don't
you get
mean
up
that.
from
I
there,
don't
now it's
mean
going to
that to
take
be
some
condescending.
time.
It's just
You're talking about agriculture,
so many
meat
times short-term
processing,
traders
housing. There's a
don't
lot of
appreciate
potential impact,
the
and wages
whole
could go far
difference
higher.
between what
Right.
they do
Look, Janet Yellen was talking
and what the
yesterday about
longer-term
the problem
money
with tariffs. I'm
managers
not sure
do.
the
I mean,
president's leading right now,
Warren
but
Buffett,
the problem with
you know,
tariffs
I mean,
is
that's
that
taking one extreme.
someone
But,
said
I mean,
the
he's
other
been in
day,
some of these
you know what, they're as
positions for
high
years.
as
Now,
Smoot Hawley.
people are questioning
and
right
another person,
now
what is
with
that?
all
Well,
of
we
the
were
liquidation
studying the depression.
that he's been doing,
One of
is
the
this a
pers- one
sign
of the proximate
of a
causes
problem in the market?
were
Well,
giant increases
who
in
knows?
in
But,
tariffs.
I mean, think how many
but everyone's
years he's
forgotten
held
because
a
that
lot
was
of those
100 years ago.
Jay, what
Although
else?
Deutsche today takes a look at when the U.S. historically has reindustrialized.
You've said that big money
post-Civil
takes
War.
a position.
Tariffs can be constructive.
Takes
They
positions
can.
2 to
In fact,
3
that's what
days
we're doing.
before
Look,
a
Alexander
big
Hamilton, go
report
back.
or
I
event.
mean, that we had to do it.
How does this
But
reflect in
this
tempo?
is a different time because
And another
Looking
question
at
is
everybody here. We
the
got Bill
current
Ackman
all-time
here. We got
high?
David Solomon.
It's a poor
They're all
high made
showing up.
in regular
James
trading
Fraser,
hours. What are your
Frank
thoughts on
Zagano's
this?
taking over Social
Oh, my God.
It's the
Security.
same thing I always say, you know.
Yeah,
The odds are
Wow.
against a
Oh, you see
lasting
those over here? See,
all-time
a lot of
high.
those people are in the
being
same,
made
they've
during,
gotten jobs. A lot of other people are
They're just coming
happy.
away.
extended
They're
hours
going to come
trading
away the
during
same
the,
way we are. You guys don't want to come
Can
up
it
and have a
happen?
conversation?
There's nothing that says it
Why
can't
not?
happen.
Let's
But
break
in
some
all the
news.
time we've
Yeah.
been walking the market,
Cornell,
it's extremely
Target.
rare, and I don't even know
yes,
if I
Stocks
remember a
convert.
time
You
when we've had a
137
lasting all-time
higher.
high or low.
But yeah, I
made
mean, the
in
business
the,
community, to the
extended
extent,
hours,
you know, a lot of these, I mean, they can walk
trading.
over from certain
So what
places
were the
from,
first
you know,
parts of
not
those
far from City
questions,
and Goldman headquarters.
This is very different,
But this
Dave.
is
This is
important.
very different.
You
This
said
is
that big
people-
money takes a
Change is what it
position
is.
2 to 3
I mean, look,
days
these guys
before a
employ
big
millions of
report or
people.
event.
They're not
How does
No,
this
that's not.
handouts.
No, that's
They
not. That's not
have-
what I said.
I'd
I
say
said
that they are pretty much the pulse
if-
of American business, right here.
If
here,
the
right now.
larger money
Incredible.
is going to
What did you make
adjust
of this? And he mentioned it
their
again just now.
position.
This incentive theory.
Ahead
You're
of
going to invest $1 billion.
some important trading
Expedited permitting. You think businesses
they
respond to that?
generally would do
I
it
think that when you
at least 2
contrast
days
that with
ahead
the
of time,
pause in LNG,
simply because the day
that
before
President
the
Biden talked
markets
about
are
in
too
January,
thick.
what it says is that's
There's
over.
not
okay,
enough
that's over. By the way,
liquidity
that
in it, so
destroyed
they
the whole
generally
industry. Perhaps the
don't
greatest
wait
shock
till
of
the
fear
last minute.
during Biden's administration.
And I'm
was the
not
LNG
predicting that
business,
they
and he
will
just
or
said
won't.
done.
I'm just saying
Okay,
if
that's
they
what the pause
decide
did. I
to
think you
adjust
do the
their
billion that says
position ahead of a
open
big
for
number,
business. We're not going to do
they
that stuff
generally
anymore.
will
We're
make
just-
sure
if you want
that
money, you want
made
to
whatever
jobs,
adjustments
bring
they
them
want to
here.
make. Now,
He also said,
you
by
know,
the way, the tariffs aren't all that
remember, that
horrible.
can be investment money.
Well, again,
many
the tariffs
times
also may have an
people
inflationary
don't
impact for 1
appreciate
year,
the-
but not necessarily
the
for a long period of
long-term,
time. 'Cause,
really long-term investment
consumption
money. They
patterns
may not
adjust
do
to
anything.
some extent.
So that's
Well,
one
the
extreme.
peso-
Then you got the
peso's
other
been
extreme,
crushed.
which is
So whatever,
very
whatever
short-term
the
day
tariff
trade.
to Mexico is
But
already
in
it's like
between
built
that,
in.
there's
Okay?
many
Yeah.
different types of accounts. There's
Interesting
hedge
that
funds, there's
rates,
family offices, there's
even
large
with the print today,
independent
Carl, are not, you know, the 10
trading
year is
pools
below
of
where
capital.
it was.
Some of them
We
very
were at
highly
4.45.
And generally,
And
when
I
I'm speaking,
have been
when I'm
having that
talking about
conversation of late, guys,
those
about well,
accounts that are in
is there
between the
something
very
else
short
behind that?
term
Is it
and the
perhaps
very long
hopes
term.
for
Those accounts that are more
the efficiency
trading oriented.
that
They
will
can
be
be very
introduced in
large size.
2025 as a result
They
of
will-
AI
are the ones
that will
that
start
will
to really
generally
show
make
productivity
their
increases somehow?
adjustments
It's things of that nature, I think.
at
You
least
just wonder
a couple of
because
days
otherwise it should
prior
be potentially
to any
higher.
major
We
number,
certainly hope
if
so,
they're
because,
going to adjust.
although Jim mentioned PPI running hot, claims today at 242 is the biggest weekly
Another
jump
question.
since October.
Even if this is
27K in 2
short-term weak
weeks.
One thing
hands
I really
controlling the
despise
market,
is
did
that
we
as soon as
do we
we get a
apply
number
the
like
same
this, people
balance
talk about
rules for our
stagflation.
bracket since
These people,
December
they
3rd?
should just study history. It's not the case. We had it with Jimmy Carter.
I
Okay?
don't-
There was
you know,
clearly
I look at
stagflation
the
with Carter.
market
Ever since then, we've had Federal Reserves that have been very responsible. And
very
I just think if you want to
mechanical.
interject fear, be my guest. I
And
want
I
to interject the
don't,
fact that
you
the
know,
NASDAQ has gone up
don't
incredibly
build
during
any
this period. And if you were
exacting
worried about
level. I think
stagflation,
what is
you
in
have
front of
nothing
me
to show
right
for it.
now.
Although I'm sure
You look what I
heard
wrote
the
last weekend.
Negative takes
I'm
this
looking
week
at
on
this,
breadth.
the line
7,
going up,
8
and I'm
straight
saying,
days of an AD
what-
line that's less
if
than
you're going to
flat.
be a successful short-term trader,
True.
you have to understand
Thank goodness for
what
the Mag 7 this
other
week. Yeah.
short-term
Yeah, the Mag 7
traders
have come back to life this
Mag
week.
7 is
You have
well,
to
a
understand
very
that
big
they're
way.
very
Each
fickle,
one has a story,
and
okay?
they will all run
No, I mean,
very quick.
look, Alphabet had.
So
Al-
right
Alphabet
now,
had,
if we did, for example,
out of nowhere,
if the market
Quantum,
was
boy,
right
that's a new
here
one,
within
David.
this
You wanna
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
there's
6 day
a-
balance,
RFK Jr., yeah, is going to be running
then I would be
HHS,
looking
potentially. eventually, of course,
coming out of that balance. So in this case, it's broke to the downside from
all the
that
different
balance.
uses.
There is the
it's a needle.
Here it
potential
broke to the
incoming Treasury
upside, here it
Secretary
broke
rate
to the
right
downside,
there.
then it balanced
It's one of the
again,
few
and
here
then
that
broke
I
to the
you
upside.
guys know him.
But
I
then
don't
when it
know
broke to the
Bring
upside,
him up then.
Didn't
you got
meet him
this,
through
you
many
know,
of the
very
years. I
mechanical
don't know who's going to come up or
Jim,
not.
Mike time?
Why not?
what I'm looking for there, I said,
Well, who do
okay,
you wanna get?
this is what
I'll
they
take
do.
the whole
going
shooting
out.
match.
And if their behavior
Mr. Secretary,
changes,
the,
then
come on.
more than
Who he
likely,
wants to.
Oh,
if
come on.
behavior
Wants to
doesn't
watch.
change,
Why not?
and they'll keep going up.
Don't be
Behavior
shy,
changes,
right? Don't be
then you're
shy.
going to get liquidation.
What
because
do
these
you
are
want to tell
all
the Americans? What do you want to tell the
very
nation
short-term
about
traders.
investing right
Like
now?
I say, they're very herd
I think we're
oriented.
going to see from
So
President Trump
if you
Wall
had a
Street
4-day
can win and
balance,
Main Street can
I'd
win.
follow the 4-day balance. analysts. Analyst trading guy can do.
Fair enough.
This is a different
wow.
time.
Hey, guys. Hey, I've seen you since college, for heaven's sake.
You
Looking
get a break from the trend.
How are you?
Again,
look, I mean, everyone's. I mean, are you just per se a
people are
GOP?
trying to make the
analyze it because I always remember you as an analytics person,
having
not a
deeper
person who's just
understanding. Who is their competition? So right now, who is your competition?
How do you feel
right
about GOP-1 drugs? Do you think that they are net
all
positive?
very short-term traders. Longer-term traders don't, or investors, they don't buy based on an exact.
The first line of response.
This is the activity of very short-term
lifestyle.
traders.
It should be
So you
eating
have to
well,
understand who
making
you're
sure that
competing
you don't get obese.
Understand that their
And that
behavior
those GLP
is going to be
drugs,
much
have a
different.
place.
Well, I find a lot of people want to put words in your mouth. A lot of people want to say, you know what, this guy is not in favor of all vaccines. That's just untrue.
But constantly understand. I mean, it's like watching these,
because I think that I'm
these
tired of
football
people
games.
lying about
You
you,
know,
okay?
you
All right, see
can
you
watch
later.
2 games on Sunday, and both have different offensive plans,
That moves the needle a little bit on GLP-1s, especially coming a day after.
And you have to understand
Elon
what
Musk's
the other one
post
is
that
doing
delivering low-cost GLP-1s
in order to have a chance
is maybe
to be
the best thing for public health by
That's
a
what
long
it
shot.
takes
I
as a
think that there's a lot
short-term
of people
trader.
who put
You have to
words in
understand what
people's
your
mouth. Look,
competition is doing.
He cares more about high fructose corn syrup than stopping
yesterday they
GLP
got him
that's
too
what I'm
short.
tell you. He's about
Going
food.
into yesterday, the herd got him too
Yeah,
short.
listen, it's going to be
Then they
interesting
got him
if
too long
Mr.
yesterday.
Kennedy gets
Then we got liquidation.
gets confirmed.
Overnight. It's
given
just-
vaccines, healthy foods, which, by
very
the way,
difficult.
is at issue to a certain
And so many
extent with
times
things
traders are
like
trying to
high
make it
fructose corn syrup,
scientific,
an important
trying to be
constituency as
scientific
well,
about the
farmers
trading,
and the
trying to
like
look for
for
exact
the
references.
incoming president.
And you have
Special
to have a
setting
deeper
up some
understanding
tension
be
there.
able to give us
what is really going
Charles
on.
Grassley,
The
for
market's
example, I'm sure would like to bring him
continuous
in and kind of give him a little bit of
The more the
a
market is
James
going
Midland, I would short that one anyway because their numbers aren't so good. What do you think about the controversy involving with the incoming Treasury Secretary?
Inventory getting too
good
short.
times for everybody.
Inventory getting too long.
Was that a controversy?
Inventory getting too
Sounds
short.
pretty good.
Because so many traders
trying to
know
go for
nothing
ironic.
more
You're right.
other than to follow what
Treasury
everybody else is
Secretary,
doing.
because
What else you want me to assassinate? I'll go over there. I mean,
we don't know him.
I'm sorry, I did.
But the
didn't
markets.
use that word.
There are
think
many
I
market
said this many times
commentators
during that
currently
competition,
talking about
in part
how
between
year-end rallies
Mr.
are
Lutnick,
so
who's also
common
here,
because
and Mr.
structured
Besson,
products
that the
and the
markets would
associated
favor,
hedges
would
cause
favor
dealers to
Besson.
buy stock and indices as a result of those hedges nearing expiration. These same commentators further discuss that these rallies are frequently followed by substantial declines sometime between late January through mid-February as these dealers then reposition again. Does Jim consider how dealers are likely positioned to help with this market analysis?
Absolutely not. Number one, I'm not smart enough to understand all that. There's all kind of people that write about it as if they understand it.
Geographically
I'm not sure that
easy
they
for them
really-
to get here.
They really
And just
do.
optically, Jim, sort of a show
I'm a
of
short-term
force
trader. I
of
look and I
American
say,
business.
what is going on
This is,
in the
I have to
market
tell you,
right now?
I can't. I'm trying to remember when
today?
I've seen such an agglomeration of people.
Never.
No.
I don't think we've
And
ever
I-
seen this.
I
No,
really-
and these are people, by the way,
I'm very careful
all walks of business.
not to
this
get
is not
myself
tech and it's not financial.
entangled
I mean,
in a
Brian
lot of the
Cornell from
other
Target.
the other
You
commentary
should get
that's
him
out
up here. I don't like that last quarter.
That may sound crazy. I know a lot of people.
We could devote the rest
you know,
of the
they
show
go-
to bringing everybody
they'd
up
love
here
to
as in
hear
the
and
audience.
read those
Maybe we
things.
can get the
Well,
president
what would
elected.
it matter
important
that?
is
This
the
is
short-term-
just everybody ever want
keep
to
in
talk to
mind,
in the
I'm a
business
short-term
world.
trader.
I know. So maybe
So
we
much
should
of
just start having
short-term
them
trading
come up.
Well, give me
is
more.
dependent
I
upon
tried
inventory
most.
getting
Let's
too long.
How many stick bikes do we have?
Here's a constant example.
How many stick bikes?
You know,
Come on. Give me up.
The market got they broke the trend line. It got too short.
What are they doing here? What, I interview you?
Market
What do you
got
think
too
about? What do you
long.
think about the Warner Brothers split?
Now the market's
think it's
short. Who knows
interesting.
what it's going to do today?
Interesting.
I mean, you're right
You
in
know,
the
these
middle.
guys- these guys are interesting.
It's not a split,
They're
by the
cutting
way.
me off.
So many
It's not a
times
split at Warner
people
Brothers,
are
we
trying-
should say.
they're
It's just a
trying to
corporate
understand-
realignment that does put them in a
Yeah.
position at Warner Brothers
You know,
Discovery
if you're a long-term
conceivably
trader,
to
you
do
look at it
something
different.
down
You're
the
a linear
road
trader.
in terms of their
You're a
linear cable
short-term
networks
trader,
and their
which is
streaming in
what-
the studio
what
now
I
being
am.
separated. If
Your
you're hearing about that,
constant
that's why.
focus is on
Take a look at
short-term-
the stocks. Are we able to show
short-term
stock prices at all today, or
Then
is
you're
that,
always
are we
looking,
not
okay.
going to be allowed to
So
do
what
that?
we
probably?
had
I
for
think
10 days, we
if
had the
we
trend line.
abandon that
What was
mission,
the
then
market
we might as well
doing?
be
They were
another
buying
check.
short-term
Yeah,
traders
Warner
were
Brothers
buying
will
the
be up
trend
on
line
that.
exactly
Again,
for 10
corporate
days.
realignment.
But that's to
That's
bring
what
out
the
the
market
value
was
of
doing.
the, I think,
And
bring
if you
out
have
the
some other
value
ideas,
of the studio,
guess
which
what?
is to me worth far
the
more
market
than
didn't
this
care. That's what it was
ridiculously
doing.
low
And then when
price
it
stock.
broke
More
down,
importantly, perhaps giving
when
more
it broke
transparency into
down,
streaming, which they
could I see, as I
obviously
put
hope
out
is
last
going to show
weekend, higher
significant
prices
increases
were bringing in lower
in
volume volume,
profitability.
that is not a good sign.
And again,
that
setting themselves up by reorganizing internally for
all of a sudden
what
the
might
market
eventually
broke.
be, I
and
think,
you got this tremendous liquidation, and everybody went
what our
from one
parent company
extreme
is
to the other.
actually doing with
Then they
its
took it
cable
all the way
networks,
back
except for
up,
Bravo.
you know,
That would be an opportunity to be able
And
to
now,
merge, be able to
you know,
combine.
you're right in the
That
middle
goes
of the
back to
last
the new
couple of days.
administration, where there's a hope, I think, that there will be more
People make trading
freedom to merge.
much
Well,
more
have you studied
difficult.
Ferguson's view,
than
the
it
new
has
head
to
of the
be.
FTC?
And
A
they're
little bit.
constantly looking for,
I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's pro-business.
some magic secret. And the
Republican
magic secret
pro-business.
is understanding
Yes,
what your competition
and by the way, he doesn't
Okay,
even
what
need
else?
to be confirmed because he already has been.
Although the
As
quote,
we watch some of the
Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley make $50 million a day. They pretty much control the market with the liquidity that they control. Would you say that short-term trading is at their mercy?
Watching recital. I mean, the kind of thing that I wish I
They're different markets. They're different markets.
Yeah, Vice President
You know,
Orlando.
sometimes
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
benefit from that. Sometimes they take your money. I mean,
There's incoming first
a lot of
lady.
what they do a lot of statistical arbitrage too.
There we go.
You know, when things get out of line. You know, I've done institutional trading in there, and it's, you know, they take advantage. They're not doing pure. Sometimes they do, but they're not generally doing pure.
it's remarkable,
specs.
Jim.
There's a lot
We
of
see this
relationship
literally every day we come to
trading
work.
that
It's
goes
never
on
been quite like this
in
with
there.
this kind of pageantry.
No, I was waiting for that because there is an element.
Okay, does it take time to learn the behavior
this is
of
the
who you are
greatest day
competing
of many
against?
people's lives. I have to point
course
that out
it does.
because that's what people are telling me. And I think that
You know,
why not? Mr. Sprecher speaking.
It takes a lifetime.
Stick mic.
Yeah,
and it
we're
changes.
talking.
It constantly changes.
We're a little bit away
It's just
here.
like an
We're,
offense
2
or a
minutes-
defense.
2
in
minutes
football.
out from the
They
actual
constantly
bell.
change in order to make
Yes.
it difficult for the
Yes.
competition, and it constantly
David,
changes.
have
and
you
you
noticed
have
that
to be
all
a
of the NASDAQ
depth. You
is
have to be
down
adept
today,
at
and
being
we have
able
to
to read
mention,
it
I know
and
that this is,
understand it.
you know,
So many times
I
people are
don't
looking
wanna
for
short
exacting
shrift
references
Adobe as
to
being
trade the
very
market.
disappointing stock. It's moving a
And
lot of companies.
that's going to make it very
Adobe,
difficult.
tell
You're
me
not
about
going
the
to really
quarter.
understand
Let's- quarter was a miss.
Let's
what
use
your
this moment to,
competition is
yeah,
doing.
the quarter was a miss. Stock
Right.
going to be down.
Trying to be that
Forecast was a miss.
mechanical.
Was a
You have to
guide.
become
You
involved in
you
it.
went from
I'm
double-digit to single-digit.
doing
People
a-
don't like that. A lot of negative commentary.
We're going
But
to
on the
do
heels of Oracle, people are calling it the
program
second
next
biggest.
year.
Exactly, and I go
we
back
don't know
over
when
with
yet, but I'm
Safracats, by the way.
putting
Yes, she did
pieces
sell
together.
stock. That's
But
old
the first-
options and
the first
most of, for charity.
part of the
and I
outline
think that
for that
Safracats, when you
program
read
says
these, we are seeing some
that-
insider selling.
and I don't know if I got the words exact.
It's noticeable. Chewy had big insider selling.
in there, but it said
With the small, with the
successful
10%
trading
buyback of the sale.
requires
It's being
that you
I want
are at
people
a
to keep an eye
level
on the insider selling.
that
By the way, a little
is
history
your
for the
intuition
president-elect. This is not his
above
first time in the building by
anything that
a
is
long
available
shot. He
from
was here actually for the
classroom
listing of Trump
Classroom learning
Hotels
may
back
give
in
you the basics,
1995.
but
He showed
it's
some elements of
real
The Apprentice
competition
in this
comes when
building,
you
Jim, back in 04.
have a greater intuitive
When I was
understanding
a judge on The Apprentice,
what is
we
going
spent a lot
on
of
in the
time talking
market,
about the stock
and you
market.
can move.
And I enjoyed
you
my
can
time
move
as a
much
judge.
quicker in the
He
market.
is so involved with trying to understand
It's
wealth
not.
creation.
You're
That's
not
what
going
we
to learn
talked
it in a
about.
classroom.
Off
You're
that.
only going to
And
learn
I
it
know that there's
by being
obviously not
involved in the
disclosure
market
about
and
being
involved
an
on a very
apprentice
deep
judge.
level.
But
Okay,
the man is
so the market
fascinated
is
by the stock
open.
market. As
We're
fascinated
open
as
right
the
at
current
the
president is
point of
not.
control from overnight.
He is no longer just a TV star. He's the
very
incoming leader
mechanical
of the free
again, right?
world. He's going to ring the bell here in about 20
traded there,
seconds. An
20 some
historic
time
moment
for overnight. I don't know
at the
how
New York
long
Stock
it'll
Exchange. As we get this
So
opening
that's
going
market's
by
done.
the
It's right in the middle of
President-elect,
the overnight.
Donald
trade.
Trump.
We're within yesterday's range. In here. Okay. I mean, this is late in the year. You're not going to get a lot of new money coming into this market or leaving this market. You're going to get an awful lot of short-term traders back and forth in the market. Okay, final question or two?
Okay. Question about your new book. What kind of benefit will we get from this one that we cannot find in your first two books?
Oh, I can't answer that. I don't know what anybody's going to get out of it. I mean, this book has got substantially more on the self-understanding portion and how much of the mental part of trading, far more than the earlier books. Okay?
We're going to wait and see
I
whether
would say
he works the room
it
here.
also has,
David in a few minutes. But
as somebody mentioned here, you know, 20 more years of experience in there. But I would also say that in terms of things that you're focused on and things that you are mentioning that are, you know, like
just briefly here, we
momentum,
will talk more this morning about
like where
service
momentum
type.
has its place and how that's the leading indicator,
Pricing
or
8.8 million
rather
at 71.
than
That was above the range.
Yeah, I mean, look, that is an actual understandable enterprise software company that does for the trade.
The real point
did not have
is,
anything like that, and I think it's
But,
really
I mean, if you
emblematic
think about
of
the book, what we
where
really
we
do-
finally are getting companies that are good.
Yes.
Momentum,
excitement around
clearly,
the IPO.
Yes.
the most important
We'll see
factor
how it
in the market is
how
momentum.
Service Titan performs in the aftermarket.
What we try and do
From that.
is put context around momentum.
And we'll see if we get
So
more
many
IPOs
people,
next year. Spring's eternal.
This is a
don't
good
do that.
sign.
They just
because this
simply
is
look
not
at
an
price
overvalued
momentum.
IPO. It's priced to,
And there's no depth
really,
to it.
I think, for the benefit of
By
the
using
people who are
the
buying
way we
it. I think
organize
it's
the
a
market,
terrific buy, actually.
we're trying to put
It's cheaper than
momentum
the others, and it's
within the
forward.
context.
By the way, there's one more
And I
look
think
at
that's
the
a huge,
Treasury
huge
Secretary nominee, we believe, Scott Bessent.
differentiates us
And just a
from what
reminder that
most
the
people
audience
do.
here, Jim,
Okay,
we were
final
getting a live
question?
shot of the podium, but who was in the room was
I
maybe
think
just
that we're
as
good.
remarkable.
So
look at the S&P
I
500
did
here,
put the
and
link
it's
in
kind
the
of
Cut2 webinar chat for those of
Yeah, it's more of an S&P 500 data
folks
than an
asking
NASDAQ
that. But
crowd.
you can also go to our
Have you noticed?
website, go to
President-elect now is just up there alone.
JimDaltonTrading.com and go to resources
All right,
at the
well,
top
when you're around
navigation and go to books, and you'll see Jim's book featured up there
We're
at
going
the
to get
top.
they're getting some
It was
photos.
also
honestly,
the
I'm
link
looking
to
at people-
it was
See
also
what's going on.
included, not in this morning's email, but
Henry Fernandez from
the
MSCI
email that was
upgraded.
sent out
one of your
2 days
favorites.
ago to
Upgraded
announce
today.
this
I think his stock
webinar.
was a
The link was in there
All right.
too, and I'm
Yeah.
sure we will
James
definitely
Frazier, have you
include
seen
it
the
in
upgrades
future
today lately?
emails as
I have
well.
not seen
Like
that
I
many
said, if you
upgrades
are
for
not
Citi. I
subscribed
will say
already,
it was
you
warning.
can sign
Citi
up
stock
on
is
our
down ever so
homepage at
slightly because we all know the
JimDaltonTrading.com,
banks have
and
performed
also be
extremely
sure
well this
that
What a week it's
you
been for banks in
confirm that you
general.
want to subscribe
6
because
straight
you're
weeks of
not
inflows.
subscribed
The
until you
presentations this
respond
week at
to
Goldman's
that,
Financial Services
to
Conference.
the confirmation
Look,
email.
I think that the combination
Okay.
of
Oh,
of the
and
banks
some folks
embracing
chimed in and
Bitcoin,
said
by the way,
UK they were able
embracing
to
Bitcoin, particularly
pre-order the book.
BlackRock. The
there,
private equity
so,
stocks, Blackstone got downgraded. They just up
Thank
too
you very much
in
for letting us
valuation.
know that.
Right.
If you
Financials
live in
are
another
what are
country and
exciting
you're also
here.
able to
Last
pre-order
2
the
days
book, let
pullback,
us know.
But they are exciting. And
Thanks.
the group has more
Okay.
momentum.
Thank you so
than,
let me
much.
say one thing
AI at this
before we
very
go.
moment. Hey, the drug stock's coming back.
Bitcoin has been
As a
the area of
short-term
real
trader,
speculation in some way, hasn't it, Jim?
Until
in the
you,
sense of it's taken it.
you're going to have to develop
You know,
your
as
intuition.
an asset, I mean, of
in
course,
order
as an
to
asset
be
class, though, it
competitive,
also
in my
it's
opinion.
where you could argue now. I
The
mean, we'll argue it's not
best
froth at all,
source
but as
that I
opposed
have for
to
that is a book called Incognito
25 years ago, when you and I were in the midst of the
by
dot-com
David
boom.
Eagleman.
Well, look,
It's not an
when you
easy
have
read,
a
but
president-elect
it is a
saying that he
start
wants
to
to have a
understand
strategic Bitcoin
intuition
reserve,
and how the mind
goes
works.
to a meeting
Anyhow,
of the
thank
people
you
who are
very
most
much.
bullish
Have a
about
great,
it and
holiday.
embraces
I
it.
know.
It's very different from the current president.
Thank you,
I keep
everybody.
contrasting the current
Stay
president because
tuned to your
I don't think any of these people
emails
really had a lot
any
of
more
time with the
things
president.
related to the
Current
book
president. They
and
didn't
more
have a lot of
public
time because it
webinars,
just kind
and as well
was
as
not
live
wanted.
programs that
And
we'll
yet
be
the
doing
market
next
crushed it.
year.
Didn't matter.
Thank you so much for joining
Didn't
us
matter
today.
because in the end, corporate profits were
Take care.
incredible.
Stay safe. Bye.
As we pointed out several times in the last few weeks, we're looking at back-to-back 20% years. Today, Jim, there's some charts circulating looking at what it takes to get four in a row, for example, which is what we got in the late 90s.
Well, look, I think that
I can't
if the deregulation occurs and we get the mergers and David comes in on Monday morning, like the old days, and says, here's 3 deals, and the deals are all 50 to 100 billion. You think the stock market stays here, or do you think it goes much higher?
No, I think it probably goes higher. And by the way, you will, to the extent that there are going to be able to be deals done, you will start to see those kinds of numbers in part because of the market capitalization overall, a $50 billion deal. Now, will we see mega cap tech be able to do deals? I think remains in question.
Right.
Will an NVIDIA be able to do? I mean, you think about for an NVIDIA, a tuck-in acquisition were they to do one would be $200 billion. What is that? You know, $300 billion is less than 10% of its
not
market
wanting
cap.
to do that. But think about it. Jensen Huang has not wanted to do deals. Apple not known to want to do deals.
No, Apple has never done any big
Amazon
deals.
really not front and center deals.
Amazon has done more deals than
but nothing that hit the radar screen.
Well, Whole Foods was an important transaction.
A long time ago. But what I think is most important is that when you would speak to people in the Justice Department, they would tell you, listen, these are all enemies of the people. These are all companies that have made it, they're too powerful. David, that's what we will not hear again. We will not hear anyone in this administration say that these companies are too powerful.
Although, well, you just mentioned Ferguson, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, he did talk about a vendetta among big tech against competition and free speech.
Well, I think that the free speech element is more ideological, and that's definitely the case, and that's why Alphabet seems to draw everybody's ire, everybody's wrath. But can I just say that, look, we just spoke to Bobby Kennedy Jr., okay? And I believe, studying him, I know that there is an anti-vaccine, but it's extended to Elon Musk with GLP-1. And Elon Musk, I mean, what are we going to say? I mean, he's so pro, he's tweeting. He's tweeting. I got to go.
Here comes the president-elect. He's going to sign the book. Jim's going to go out there, try and see if we can have a little chat with him. Obviously, they know each other from The Apprentice originally, I believe.
A long ways.
Yeah.
What do you think the odds are, David?
Hi.
That'll say hello? I think they're strong that may say hello. I don't know that we'll have a long conversation.
Okay, how about you, Vice President-elect?
But we send our man out there.
There's this thing, for example, that President-elect Trump is in New York Stock Exchange. He has been hit.
You might want to come up and talk to us. All right.
Here we go.
Absolutely. What do you have to say to the American investor in this country?
Well, I think you're going to see some very good days ahead. A lot of incentives are going to be given. You saw yesterday a $1 billion investment that we give you very fast approvals. Nobody's come up with that one yet, although it seems pretty simple. I think you're going to have some great days ahead. We have to conclude a couple of bad wars that are going on. A lot of bad things are going on, but we'll get them done.
Do you think that we are in a situation where business will be far more embraced under you than currently?
Well, I don't want to really knock current, but I will tell you more than at any time, anywhere in the history of our country.
Now, we used to speak together about the idea that the averages mattered and were a good barometer of your performance. Is that still the case? We go beyond Dow Jones, maybe to NASDAQ.
Well, I think I've always said, to me, stock market is all of it. All of it together. It's very important. It's an honor to be here at New York Stock Exchange. I sort of joked that I actually bought the building across the street because the stock exchange was here. It's a big deal.
40, it's a nice building.
40 Wall Street. So, look, we're gonna do things I think that haven't been really done before. We're gonna be cutting taxes still further. As you know, we got it down to 21%. We're going to bring it down even below that. You pay 21 if you don't build here, and meaning your product or whatever it is you're building. And if you do, we're going to try getting it down to 15%. But you have to build your product, make your product in the USA.
And how about every working person who's watching would love to be able to see dividend tax maybe much lower, capital gains much lower?
Well, we're going to be talking about that, and we're really talking about lowering taxes. Last time, as you know, we took it probably from close to 44, 45% down to 21. Everyone said that was impossible. Now, it was always my, I really wanted to get it down to 15, and we'll be able to do that. And if you remember, we had the best 3 years in the history of our country from the standpoint of the economy. And you've been so professional and so good. I haven't seen you so much since I've been a politician.
Well, thank you, sir. We were together, and I was grateful to be a judge on The Apprentice. We had a great time.
Hey, Judge, he was a tough judge. He was a tough judge.
Well, we had to eliminate some people who didn't cut the mustard. You made me a hatchet, man. I respect that.
Well, we're going to be doing the same thing. I can tell you this. Unfortunately, there's too many of them. But I think we're going to really incentivize the country to go back and work, and they will be incentivized. They're going to do well. People are going to be very happy. JD is very much involved, and I have a great partner right over here with our First Lady. People love our First Lady, and we're going to do something very special. We have some great people up there. You saw some of the people on the cabinet. And we have some of the most successful people in the country. And we're dealing with the most successful people, and those are the people that put others to work. And we're going to be hitting job numbers. And as you probably heard me say, we picked up, since just the election, $3 trillion in, you call it worth or value, but $3 trillion was picked up since November 5th, so that's pretty good.
When President Reagan was here, he talked about putting the bear into hibernation, letting the bull run free. Sound like a good motto?
That's perfect. I can't do any better than that. That's what we're going to do.
All right. Now, I know we've got some other people here, but I don't see Elon Musk. I was hoping because he's been a good, let's say, a good aid to you on a lot of different things, whether it be crypto or whether it be GLP-1 drugs. I mean, a lot of different ideas.
Well, he's got a lot of ideas. He's a great guy. He's a really good guy, too. And I guess his stock has done pretty well. Everybody's stock has done well since the election and even before. And Scott Bessent's done a fantastic job. And one of the things I liked about Scott is that he said long before I even know who he was that the market's only doing well. This is before the election. It's only doing well because they think Trump is going to win. So we made Scott the Treasury Secretary, which everybody frankly wanted, and he's going to do a fantastic job.
Meantime, how about a crypto? Really, we do need, I think, your embracing of crypto, very different from the previous administration. Strategic Petroleum Reserve like for crypto?
I think so. We're going to do something great with crypto because we don't want China or anybody else, and not just China, but others are embracing it, and we want to be the head. We're going to be ahead of AI. We're going to be way ahead of AI, and we've got to produce tremendous amounts of electricity. You know that. It's unbelievable when you think that we need more than twice what we already have. If you think that's pretty for a specific industry, but we'll be able to do it. We have Lee Zeldin in charge of the environment. He's going to be giving us very strong approvals, I think, and he's going to make sure everything's good and clean and proper, but he's going to give us very fast approvals.
Natural gas makes it so that we should be able to afford it and be able to handle the 5% per year grid. But obviously, you think that we need to be able to be the king of AI, which means that we also have to, some people would say, protect Taiwan, because China would like very much to be able to have that technology.
Well, we're going to be having a lot of talks with China. We have a good relationship with China. I have a surprising relationship. Now, when the COVID came in, I sort of cut it off. That was a step too far. That was, as they say, a bridge too far. But we've been talking and discussing with President Xi some things and other world leaders, and I think we're going to do very well all around. We've been abused as a country. We've been badly abused from an economic standpoint, I think, and even militarily. You know, we put up all the money, they put up nothing, and then they abuse us on the economy. And we just can't let that happen. We're not going to be abused anymore. We put America first, but we're also going to help other countries.
I know you've got a ton of things to do, but what can you say to the working person who owns stocks? Should they buy more stock?
Well, I don't want to get into a situation where they do and we have a dip or something, because that can always happen. You know that better than anybody in the world, probably. I think you're the leading authority in going up and going down, but you always end up. He always ends up. That's the good news. But we have like Doug Burgum standing right over here. He's done a fantastic job. He's been on your show many times, and we have just tremendous people. I would say this. I think long-term, this is going to be a country like no other. We had the 3 best years ever until COVID came in, and then we did a good job getting rid of it. The stock market, if you look at the markets, were higher than just previous to COVID coming in when we handed it over. And now we know. I know the people. I know the players. When I came in, it was very interesting, Jim. I came in, and I was not a Washington guy. I didn't know too many people in Washington. I had to rely. Now, who do I know people? I know people. I know people so much they're coming out of my ears. So we have great people.
Mark Zuckerberg?
Well, Mark Zuckerberg's been over to see me, and I can tell you Elon is another, and Jeff Bezos is coming up next week. And I want to get ideas from them. Look, we want them to do well. We want everybody, and we want great jobs. Fantastic salaries. We want people to love, and you know, when they wake up in the morning, like get up, and I love to go to work. I want to go to work. We want people working, and we want them working for a lot of money.
All right, Mr. President. Thank you so much. Good to talk to you again. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Vice President-elect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Jim, just an incredible ad hoc moment of live television there. Our Jim Cramer talking to the president-elect, ringing the opening bell here at the New York Stock Exchange. David, you talk about the fusion of politics and capital markets in this room right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, we've commented. Great job. He's coming back to the set. Yeah, we've commented on all the people who are here saying hello. Obviously, in the audience, many of the senior leaders of the financial firms, certainly some of which are close, whether it's Goldman or Citi, any number of others, Verizon, I can go on and on. interesting comments you got there. Jeff Bezos is coming to the White House next week.
I think that there's an element of, again, I was talking about how there were people who tried to be neutral. There were people who held back. I do sense that there was a bit, David, of a kind of a bigger tent than I would have expected. Look, some people think that this man is a malice toward all and charity toward none. I did not get that. I got the opposite. I got more.
Well, he didn't take the opportunity to criticize the administration when you gave it to him in terms of their approach to business. I thought that was somewhat interesting. I also thought at the very end, when you tried to get him to say stocks are going to go up, he actually...
Oh, what a dose of reality there.
Yeah.
Boy.
He actually said that doesn't always happen.
The old days,
always happen.
Well, I think the old days he would feel during the COVID period when I would talk to him, well, let's say some good things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know who's joining us right now on set? Once we mic him up is Bill Ackman, Pershing Square. Then in the audience all morning long. Bill, welcome. Good to have you.
Thank you.
What'd you make it today?
It's a great day. It's a great day because the president's in obviously great spirits. And we're stepping into, I would say, the most pro-growth, pro-business, pro-American administration I've perhaps seen in my adult lifetime, certainly.
The president mentioned the word incentive and incentive theory. Upstairs, downstairs, how would you characterize corporate America's appetite for responding to those incentives?
Ebullience. Yeah, so we just had a nice little ceremony, and CEOs of a broad array of big American companies, and I would say everyone is incredibly enthusiastic, really about a new administration that's about efficiency, removing the impediments to growth, deregulation. I think a lot of confidence that comes from that.
Yeah. Sorry, Bill, I hear that as well, of course. In the investment community, though, the things that seem to concern some people are the unknowns, tariffs and deportations. Do you share that at least concern, or what is your sense as to how that's going to go? The impact on inflation, obviously, is a key component, potentially, if both are quite deep and severe.
Sure. So, look, I think with respect to immigration, the president's very focused on the safety of the American people and having an open border, not vetting people coming in, having criminals into the country. I think that's the number one priority, and that is actually pro-economy move. If you get rid of people who are causing harm.
That's 100,000 people, not 11 million, potentially.
Unfortunately, I think it's more than that, but that's a priority. But I think the overarching theme is President Trump will do nothing that interferes with the success of the country, the success of the economy. That's absolutely his number. Other than our national defense, that's his number one issue. So I think he's going to be very thoughtful about tariffs.
You do?
I think it's a very powerful tool that can be used to level the playing field. I think that's what he wants. He wants a level playing field for the country.
So what do we say to someone like Janet Yellen, Secretary of Treasury? She just says, look, this is inflationary. We really got to be very careful. Many things can go wrong with what he's talking about. I mean, I'm not hearing that from you, obviously.
Yeah, no, I would say I'm more optimistic about the economy, the country in a very long time.
And do you find there are people out here that surprised you with being optimistic? You were very early on the bandwagon, but there are others who weren't, who seem to be, like Jeff Bezos coming. I mean, it seems to be a change of tune.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who is opposed to the business plan of this next administration. And I think, by the way, this is a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? If business confidence, the backdrop is you got a Fed that's lowering rates, right? You have inflation under control. You have a FTC which is going to be more thoughtful about allowing transactions to happen. That's very bullish for markets, kind of generally.
No doubt about it. We talk about it all the time.
You've got the wealth effect, right? As markets, the biggest investment for most people today is their pension or their stock market related portfolio. Housing prices going up, right? So you've had meaningful increase in asset values in a relatively short period of time. That has a pro-economy effect. So all of these are pro-secular in a very positive way for the economy. So I think it makes sense that he chose this spot to accept his Time magazine cover.
Making his way through, I think that's post 5 or 6, talking to some of the floor traders. Bill, you can imagine one of the negative things that'll get written will be that this optically is about Wall Street, not Main Street. Although the president did go out of his way to talk about these are the companies that employ people, and he wants people to want to go to work in the morning.
I mean, I think most of the country understands that the more successful businesses are, the more the stock market goes up, the more that their wages rise, the more job growth, the more opportunity, the more businesses who come to this country. It lifts all boats. And I think the president got elected because of a large, wide base that includes very low-income people in the country, and that's what he feels a responsibility to.
Last I looked, you're still an investor, so I'm just curious, given your outlook broadly speaking, but more specifically, are there any sectors that you feel are going to benefit in particular from the incoming administration?
I think it's an all-sector, it's all in. Obviously, energy, he's going to have very pro-energy policy.
Although that may not necessarily be good for the stocks, as you well know.
Look, I think it's good for the economy. It's good for moderating inflation. It's good for the U.S.'s, I had the chance to talk to Doug Burgum, upcoming Secretary of the Interior. There are lots of things we can do geopolitically. For example, being able to offer LNG to the Koreans, right? For example, something that we've not been able to do, and very important to that small country that feels very vulnerable without access to energy. These are things we can do that can improve our relations, that can help us on trade. Howard Lutnick is going to be a very strong advocate for promoting our United States and trade in a thoughtful way.
Let's go over what some of the things he said. I mean, for instance, there are amazing things that he just said. His relationship with China. He actually said it's a good relationship. Now, when he left, there was a belief that perhaps China took advantage of us. He did point out that China does some things that are bad, but I do feel that he's offering some protection for Taiwan without coming out and saying, listen, we're just going to be with Taiwan. That is, of course, that's right in the face of the PRC. But it does feel like he's coming in more conciliatory versus trading partners.
Look, if you follow, the first administration, he liked making friends with people, right? He went and shook hands with the North Korean dictator. That was a first for a U.S. president. So I think his approach is building relationships, but also being tough. It's sort of a carrot and the stick. And I think it's a thoughtful approach to foreign policy.
Lagarde today, ECB cuts 25. She says growth is slowing. Do you think Europe in particular responds in a conciliatory way, or is there some retaliatory fashion to their response?
Look, I think Europe is in a very vulnerable position right now. I think the economy generally, the United States is, they need to have an important, strong relationship with the United States. They have no choice. So I think they're going to operate that way. Yeah, but I think, I'm very bullish on America. I'm kind of bearish on Europe. I think they need to make some fairly dramatic changes politically and otherwise, one of the more powerful charts, you look at the market cap of companies, the number of companies above $500 billion or whatever here versus Europe.
No innovation.
There's LVMH, and then it drops off fairly quickly.
Not to mention, I think France is borrowing at higher rates than Greece right now, which, the issue used to be in the periphery. Now it may be with the big guys, France and Germany, in terms of their economy.
Sure, but look at a successful America is good for the world. It's going to promote growth globally.
Yeah. Bill, you and I, we've known each other since we were kids, but yes. Professionally, I've known you largely as an activist, but you don't seem to be doing much of that anymore.
What do you mean? Days, I was super activist about the election.
Yes. You've been much more.
By the way, what was more, if you look at the performance of Pershing Square post November 5th, I wasn't focused on
a particular company.
I was focused on what's good for America, and what's good for America is ultimately what's good for
Right, and you obviously
focused on Harvard.
Right.
And very focused on Israel.
Yes.
But I'm curious, is that in your past? Do you see yourself more as a broad advocate, so to speak, or are you going to get back to, agitating in corporate boardrooms?
So we don't have to agitate anymore. When I was a young fellow and no one knew who we were, and we didn't have much resources and staying power, you had to be a little bit noisy to get things done. The last activist investment I made was actually 8 years ago.
Yeah, it has
I think people forget that.
Right.
But by virtue of over time, now I'm the age of most CEOs. Pretty much every CEO in America knows who I am, and we've I think proven to be a good long-term, thoughtful, supportive investor, and that's served us very, very well.
Do you think that you mentioned that the change at heart maybe of the FTC, maybe antitrust and Justice Department? What did you think about the idea that almost every one of these large companies, which I regard as being crown jewels of our country, was under fire from the previous administration? What do you have to say about that?
Look, the kind of crowning moment is not inviting Elon to a electric car summit at the White House, right? And that's you can't be. The President of the United States is the CEO of the largest economy in the world, and how he treats his CEOs sends a very powerful message to the business community as to whether they want to do business here or they want to do business somewhere else. And I think, Trump's talking about incentives. For example, a 21% tax rate if you make your product overseas. But if you're going to make it in America, we'll bring that rate down to 15%. It's all about incentives. So I think he's really going to do everything he can. What is Trump's goal? He wants to be the greatest president of all time, of course, right? And this is his opportunity. He's vastly more prepared. I think he's a different person. If you think about the first administration, I think he was pretty surprised that he got elected also. He was a bit unprepared. He knew no one really in D.C. Took him time to get his team organized. I think the transition here is one of the most efficient assemblages of talent in a very short period of time, and then he has the benefit of Republican control of the Senate, the Congress. So you think the appointment process should go pretty quickly. The team will be in the seats, and I think this is an administration that a lot of very talented people want to be part of. So I'm very pleased with the team, the talent, the vision, the plan, and
you're not concerned at all, Bill, about things like undermining of the rule of law or the rules that we operate by, or I know obviously these are many of your friends, but the corporatization of sort of the administration, so to speak. Oligarchy has been a word that's used.
Yeah.